Iran plans 7 nuclear plants by 2020. A weasel takes down the Large Hadron Collider, and a U.S. Army general says troops need to prepare for hybrid armies and little green men. This is SkyWatchTV for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. First up, a force of Italian and British soldiers ambushed by the Islamic State in Libya last week. Now, this story has only been reported by Debka File. That's an Israeli news site that claims to have sources inside the intelligence and military communities. The battle reportedly took place last Wednesday. IS forces reportedly hit a convoy of Italian Marines, British Special Forces, and Libyan troops. Italians were among the killed and wounded. No word on British casualties. But neither the government of Italy nor the UK has confirmed this story. Debka File says it's because they put a blackout on this news. Debka's been reporting for weeks that Western governments, including Germany and the United States, are planning an invasion of Libya to keep its oil fields out of the hands of the Islamic State. The Washington Post is reporting that Israel, Egypt, and Hamas have reached an agreement, an alliance of sorts, against the Islamic State. Strange bedfellows, to be sure. As part of the deal, Hamas is supposed to have deployed several hundred fighters along the border between the Gaza Strip and Egypt to keep ISIS out. An affiliate of ISIS in the Sinai Peninsula has been launching guerrilla attacks against Egyptian military units and peacekeeping forces, multinational peacekeeping forces in the Sinai. However, this deal may not really exist. Debka File reporting that there is no agreement, and that, on the contrary, Hamas is providing ISIS with intel and allowing ISIS fighters, wounded ISIS fighters, into the Gaza Strip for treatment at Palestinian hospitals. Iran's army chief reportedly taking command in Syria, Major General Hassan Firuzabadi, arrived in Damascus Saturday to take direct command of Iranian, Syrian, and Hezbollah fighters as they prepare for an all-out assault on rebel outposts in Aleppo. This may also signal Iran's intent to take direct control of where its forces are deployed after the battle for Aleppo is won, to make sure those troops are placed where Iran wants them and not where Russia wants them. One possible location, of course, southern Syria, across the border from Israel along the Golan Heights. Iran also looking to its energy future. The government spokesman said it plans to build 7 new power plants, or 7 total nuclear power plants, by the year 2020. Spokesman said on Friday that besides the Bushehr plant, which we already know about, and 2 others under construction, 4 more would be built in the next 4 years. But I just have to wonder, after the Fukushima disaster, is it really wise to build nuclear plants in a country that is divided by a geological fault line? Now, speaking of ideas that don't quite seem right to my non-scientific mind, Australia has just announced a plan to eradicate an invasive species of carp, the European carp, from its largest waterway by releasing a virulent strain of the herpes virus into the water. The program will cost more than $11 million US, that's $15 million Australian. The virus is reportedly harmless to humans and animals, but it causes kidney failure and skin lesions in the carp. Now, this is a problem in Australia. This European carp is called the rabbits of the waterways for how quickly it breeds and spreads, and Australia loses about $500 million Australian per year. That's about $380 million US due to their uncontrolled spread through the rivers. But officials haven't deployed the virus yet because they're still trying to figure out what to do with all of these dead carp once they do. Ideas include fertilizer, pet food, or just burying the dead fish in mass graves. But still, herpes? Now, I've got a great idea for a cheap ornamental ground cover that will help stop soil erosion. It's called kudzu. Conspiracy theorists have looked at the Central Intelligence Agency for years with suspicion, and often with good reason. But in the 21st century intelligence community, the work that the CIA used to do has very possibly been handed over to a private contractor. In fact, this happens so often that the CIA has apparently been turning over work to contractors that is illegal for them to do so. Things like covert operations and protective security overseas. By law, that work must be done by CIA employees. Well, the CIA Inspector General has released a report, audited the agency, and reviewed contracts with its independent contractors. These are often retired CIA agents who are picking up extra money or making a living by selling their services back to the agency they used to work for. The OIG report said that the use of independent contractors by the National Clandestine Service within the CIA is so widespread that it gives the appearance of an employer-employee relationship, which is a violation of CIA regulations and federal law. But sadly, this isn't a surprise. Back in 2007, on my daily secular radio talk show, I interviewed an expert in intelligence outsourcing, Dr. R.J. Hillhouse. And by the way, Dr. Hillhouse is the one who broke the story 5 years ago, that the killing of Osama bin Laden didn't happen the way we've been told. And for example, that OBL was actually turned in by a walk-in informant, that Pakistani intelligence was sheltering Osama bin Laden, and that the Saudi government was paying Pakistan for them to do so, and that Pakistani generals were actually in on the hit. Yeah, she broke that story in 2011. Award-winning investigative journalist Seymour Hersh published a very similar story last year and got credit for breaking the story. He also was vilified by the mainstream press, but credit where it's due, Dr. Hillhouse beat him to that story by 4 years. Anyway, back in 2006, she discovered in a PowerPoint presentation that was accidentally left on an unsecured Defense Department server that the amount of money, that the percentage of money spent by America's intelligence services per year on private contractors was 70%. Think about that. 70% of America's annual intelligence budget was being paid to private companies, private contractors. The global war on terror is business, and business is good. That may be, by the way, partly why neocons are freaking out about Donald Trump's foreign policy speech last week. Now, speaking of conspiracy theorists, and by the way, I consider that a compliment rather than an insult. If you're the type of person who watches SkyWatchTV and appreciate the information that we share, if you've been following the work of men like Tom Horn or Steve Quayle for any length of time, then you probably noticed this next story. U.S. Army Chief of Staff Mark Milley gave a speech on April 21st at Norwich University. This was on the occasion of their 100th anniversary of the ROTC program there. And he said something while sharing with the students that they were entering a world that was far more complex than previous generations of career soldiers.
If the world of 1916 was complex, or the world of 1945 was complex, the world of 2016 is intensely complex. You'll be dealing with terrorists, you'll be dealing with hybrid armies, you'll be dealing with little green men, you're going to be dealing with tribes, you'll be dealing with national leaders and local leaders.
Little green men? Hybrid armies? Those should be trigger words for you if you've been a longtime watcher of SkyWatchTV. Well, of course, the internet went nuts. The true believers in the UFO phenomenon were all over that speech. But if something seems too obvious to be true, then it probably is. I did a little research and then checked with our resident expert, Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, Pentagon consultant, author of the book Never Submit. These phrases, hybrid armies and little green men, are common in today's military. Hybrid army is a fighting force that incorporates non-traditional elements like drones, robotic weapons, or even private security contractors into the mix. And little green men was a term that developed a couple of years ago when fighting broke out in Ukraine. The separatists were augmented by Russian soldiers wearing masks and plain, unmarked green uniforms. Clearly fighting men, but not obviously identifiable as Russian, little green men. So, General Milley didn't mean what the internet thinks he meant. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that the super soldier concept isn't a real thing. In fact, that's the topic of Colonel McGinnis's next book, Transhumanism and Super Soldiers, coming later this year from Defender Publishing. Now, if it wasn't enough that the United States government is spying on us, billboards, commercial enterprises are also tracking our movements in order to find out everything they possibly can about us. New York Senator Chuck Schumer, in fact, is calling for a federal investigation into an advertising company's use of so-called spying billboards. The program is called Radar. It's a project run by Clear Channel Outdoor America in partnership with other companies, AT&T, some technology firms. They track mobile phone movements, traffic patterns, and behaviors throughout the day, analyzing data on the direction of travel, billboard viewability to people in certain areas, and then subsequent visits to specific locations. This data is crunched, analyzed, mapped against the company's billboards, and then that data is used to sell ad placement on billboards to companies with products to sell. That Clear Channel says that this data is aggregated and anonymized, no personal information collected, to which I say, yeah, right. By the way, another tech note, if you have a Windows computer, laptop, or PC, and you have the Apple program QuickTime, which is a video playing program, a video player, the federal government is recommending that you delete that program from your machine. Apple developed it, rolled it out for Windows and its own Macintosh computers years ago, but it hasn't been updating the Windows version for like the last 10 years, in spite of two very well-known security vulnerabilities that can allow a hacker to take control of your machine. So again, if you have a Windows machine and you have the QuickTime video player installed, delete it. A miracle in Chicago, possibly. Thousands of Orthodox Christians are flocking to a church in the city's southwest suburbs. An icon of John the Baptist at Assumption Greek Orthodox Church in Homer Glen, Illinois, is apparently exuding a sweet-smelling oil. According to the Chicago Tribune, the oil seeps from the icon's halo, wings, hands, and beard. The oil is collected in a reservoir of cotton at its base, and then saturated cotton balls are sealed in plastic bags and handed out to parishioners. Over 5,000 samples so far. And some are attributing miracles to the oil. One claims her cancer was cured, another claims a blocked artery was opened. Even the parish priest, Reverend Sotiros Dimitriou, who suffered frequent blackouts due to nerve damage, says that he's not suffered blackouts since the oil started and has quit taking his medication. We've talked a lot about the Large Hadron Collider here on SkyWatchTV. That's the big atom-smashing device at CERN in Switzerland, and we've talked about its real purpose, speculated about the reason for the creepy statue of Shiva out front. That's the Hindu god called the Destroyer. Of course, the Destroyer is the translation of the Hebrew word Abaddon, the name of the king of the pit that emerges in Revelation 9, Apollyon. We've also learned something very important about CERN and the Large Hadron Collider last week, and that is, just like the dinosaurs, this atom-smashing trans-dimensional engine of doom is no match for a small, furry mammal. A weasel somehow got into a transformer that powers the device on Friday, bit into a power cable. Pop went the weasel, and the LHC went offline. It will be offline at least through the end of this week. Now, this week on Skywatch TV, the aforementioned Mr. Quayle is our guest with a fascinating discussion about his new documentary film, True Legends, The Unholy Sea, Vatican cover-up of pre-flood civilization. That's the topic. You'll see Skywatch TV 4 places tonight: the Victory Television Network, WGGN TV in Sandusky, Ohio, WLLA TV in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Coast to Coast on the Christian Television Network, tomorrow on the Cornerstone Network, and then Saturday on the Victory Television Network and Christian Television Networks again. And remember, you can check times and stations for SkyWatch TV anytime by logging on to skywatchtv.com and then clicking that link in the top menu bar for channel listing. And of course, the program is available now at your convenience at the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku. If you have a Roku account and have not yet added the SkyWatch TV channel, it's a very simple thing to do. Complete instructions at skywatchtv.com/Roku. The Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference is sold out, so we're bringing it to you via live video stream. 32 presentations from 25 speakers over the span of 2 days, and all of those presentations archived for 6 weeks after the conference. For more information about the packages and to sign up, log on to prophecywatchers.com. Month of May is the month of Mother's Day, and our thank you for your financial support during the month of May. Gifts suitable for your mom. 2 books that she'll find very useful: Survive the Unthinkable, A Woman's Guide to Preparedness, and Favorite Family Meals, as well as a beautiful personal journal for mom, that alone a $20 value, and a beautiful mug that she can use for her Mother's Day coffee or tea, whatever she prefers. Again, all of those, the books, the journal, and the mug, we will send those to you for your donation of $20 or more while supplies last during the month of May. To donate, log on to skywatchtv.com/donate, and thank you from SkyWatch TV. You can also help us just by clicking your mouse. Click share, click like, click subscribe at these places on the web. And when I get motivated to post something, I do it here: Facebook, Twitter, my website. And if you have comments or questions for us, please send those to dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV. Save nearly half off the cover price when you subscribe now to the brand new SkyWatch TV magazine. For a limited time from April 24th through June 24th, 60 days only, a 5-year subscription to SkyWatch TV magazine is just $99. That's more than $75 off the cover price, which is like getting 2 years for free. Exclusive content, articles on prophecy, discovery, and the supernatural from Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, Josh Peck, science updates from Sharon K. Gilbert, geopolitics from yours truly, and guest writers like Pulitzer Prize-nominated journalist Troy Anderson, renowned Bible scholar Dr. Michael Heiser, Pentagon advisor Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, and more. But there is more. As an early subscriber, you'll be the first to get this new book from Defender Publishing. I predict what 12 global experts believe you'll see by 2025. This is a $20 value and includes best-selling authors like Joel Richardson, Mark Biltz, Carl Gallups, Tom Horn, Paul McGuire, and more. Find out what they think about the coming war between ISIS and the Vatican, the future of the Temple Mount and the Ark of the Covenant, a worldwide manifestation of angels, and the coming age of human hybrids. And we'll also add this DVD, The Best of SkyWatch TV 2015, a $25 value, including our most compelling interviews from last year, including Chuck Missler, Steve Quayle, the discussion of the Georgia Guidestones with Chris Pinto, and more. All of this together worth more than $200, yours now for just $99, but only through June 24th. Subscribe now, SkyWatch TV magazine. Call the number on your screen or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.